Hello BookTube, I've got a fun tag for you today. This is the Seriously Well Read tag. This was created by Randy Ray at the Literate Texan to celebrate the launch of his new book club, the Seriously Well Read Book Club. And so he created this fun tag, and there's some really great questions in here. So I was like, I've got to do this. Mine were here. I literally just got home from work and I've had it up all day. But let's start. So question number one. What book made you take reading seriously? And I've always been a reader pretty much my whole life, so I'm not sure on the exact book, but I think I'm gonna say it's Kill Mockingbird actually, because that was a science reading for me. I probably read it when I was like 15 for high school and instantly fell in love with it. I love how confrontational that book is, and Harper Lee was just saying a lot of things in that which just blew my mind. And I love how confrontational that is, and it really just spoke to me at such a young age. But that's probably like the first main one, if you're talking about books. But the main author that made me take reading seriously was Kafka. He was the first author I literally became mentally obsessed with and a bit crazy with. And I just love him so much. Number two, what book did you pretend to understand? Be honest, and I feel like there's a couple ways you could go. I'm gonna keep this more classics themes because Randy's book club is focusing on classics, and I feel like I'm not worried about in terms of pretending that I just understood in terms of themes or plot or anything. So I feel like for me it's more when it comes to the language itself. So even picking up Tyndale's translation of the New Testament, or even some older texts that have older translations or older English works, and really not pretending, but trying to really understand what was just simply being conveyed just through the actual words, and learning different types of English and all that. I think I kind of did pretend to understand, but I feel like the more you read of it, the more you just pick up. So you kind of have to just to go through it pretty much. But I think especially something like The Fairy Queen was one that I absolutely adored reading last year. But it's just so long, and there's so much going on in the plot, and plus slam 1,000 pages of 1500s epic poetry in it. It can be a lot, and it's definitely one of those books I need to reread because I feel like it deserves more than just one reading. But again, to wrap it up, in terms of pretending to understand, it's more like a language and more more to do with words than actual themes or plot, because I think that's easy, like literally. Three. Which three books are on your personal required reading list? Now, I couldn't just stop at three. I'm gonna say Augustine. I'm gonna say The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spencer, of course, and then I'm gonna say Middlemarch. Those are like some free. There's so many I could say. If you want a bonus extra free, because why not? Of course, I'm gonna say all of Kafka. Get the short stories, get the diaries, get the letters, get the free novels. Literally do everything. Also, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by, oh my god, who wrote it? Edward Albee, I think that's it. George and Martha are literally couple goals. When I grow up, I literally want to be Martha. Literally, I just love her so much. And then of course I'm gonna say Georgia Hare as well, because she's not classic, but her books are coming on 100 years. And if Agatha Christie's already considered to be like a more modern classic author, Hare deserves to be in that list too. So I'm gonna say Hare as well. Everything. So yeah. Number four, what author have you been avoiding? In terms of classic authors, I don't really avoid authors because I'm too ambitious. I want to try everyone. So when it comes to avoiding authors, it's more just I've read them and they're not for me. So I don't actively seek out for them as much as I do some other authors that I haven't read before. So like a great example is Proust. I could not get through Proust. I got two books through In Search of Lost Time and literally gave up. It's just not for me. Who else? That's Ernest Hemingway, of course. I can't remember much now. A lot of your philosophies like Marcus Aurelius and Aristotle, I don't seek because I don't like them at all. So I kind of avoid them. even Nietzsche, you read them and you're like, what were you thinking? Same as Freud, so I kind of avoid all them. And also, I do have to put Stephen King on this list because he's one of the worst authors I've ever read in my life. I know some people don't really like King, but he literally is one of the worst things. Give me Jackie Collins, give me Danielle Steele any day over Stephen King. So I do avoid him as well. But that's not more classic. I just have to vent that. And so pretty much would be Proust. 5. What's the hardest book you've finished? Maybe I'm gonna say Les Mis. I think in terms of page length, probably, but Les Mis is a good pick because there's so much going on. Where's the editor? I literally don't know where the editor was for that book. I love the tangents too. I love the Victor Hugo's literally in a walking encyclopedia throughout that entire book. The plot doesn't do much for me. I'm not the biggest romantic in the more romantic style of English sense. It's too dramatic, and I don't know. It's just a slog at times to get through. And I think when it comes to a lot of other French novels from that time, For me, I've always been more of a Count of Monte Cristo girly more than a Les Mis girly. But Les Mis would be the hardest just because it is kind of an endurance test. I could also put the Fairy Queen, but once you kind of get used to it, you'll fly through it. Those are like my main two. There's probably some other ones I can't think of, but maybe also Homer, just getting used to a lot of the characters, and especially all the gods and a lot of stuff like that, which just kind of goes over my head no matter how many times I read them. Some people may say City of God by Augustine. He was also on my recommending list to everything. Some people may put City of God. I am a bit biased because I have read that book twice and read it every year. But I don't know. It could be. I really think it could. But I think Augustine really guides you through a lot of City of God. So I kind of don't think it's the hardest thing I've ever read. In terms of just, again, more slogs, I'm going to put Dickens. David Copperfield took years off my life, and even short ones like Oliver Twist just took years off my life. Some people like Thomas Hardy, especially someone who, I can't even say it, Tess or Jude the Obscure. Again, some of the hardest books I've read because they're so bad. Number 6, let's keep on going. What's a book that changed how you read? I don't know, to be honest. It's probably no. Actually, I actually don't know what book changed how I read. I think there's some books that exposed me that really challenged me. Again, I don't know why I'm sticking to Tyndale or Spencer. It's just this, English Renaissance night tonight, I guess. But again, picking older styles of English, sticking to older translations of more classic works. Kind of challenged me, and you kind of get used to the old rhythms of English and all that, which I actually kind of prefer. Even when we talk about the Russians, and it really makes me upset when people put down Constance Garnett because I love her translations. I don't know what I'm going about. She's a bit too modern, but I'm even Arthur Golding's translation of Ovid, or Longfellow's Divine Comedy I love more. So I think just really picking older translations of English and just reading older English in general really changed the way I look at reading pretty much, because it's more of a challenge than page length or something like that. So number 7, quality versus quantity. Would you rather read 100 good books in a year or 10 great books? I really went back and forth with this. I'm going to say read 100 books because I just can't stick to 10 books in 1 year. That's so little, and I've already read 100 books this year. So that's what am I going to do with the rest of the year? Like literally. And plus, I feel like what happens if I want to go down a rabbit hole in a certain genre or area of interest topic, and I can't read anymore. So I'm going to say 100 good books. Number 8, which genre are you embarrassed to say you have not read? I feel like I've dipped my toes into a lot of genres. Some of them I've liked and some of them I haven't. Like, I've never been the biggest fantasy person. I've tried. I can't get through the Lord of the Rings to save my life. It's so boring. Even Arthur C. Clarke or I can't even think anymore. Even like Robert Jordan, I don't like. I don't mind George R. R. Martin. But there's probably some more fantasy I've tried. The only fantasy author I genuinely really love is Robin Hobb. Sci-fi, it's a bit, I don't know. I'm still searching. My favorite sci-fi book is The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. But outside of that, I'm not a sci-fi fantasy person. Give me my romance, give me my classics. But I feel like a real thing that I really don't know much about is Asian literature at all, or even manga. I read the Death Note series, and that's really it. But I want to keep going because it's such a different style of writing and all that, and I feel like I'm really missing out on something. So it's some stuff like that really. Number nine, which book do you think most people misread? Um, I'm not sure about misread. I don't like that word. Maybe um I don't know. I'm just gonna say Moby Dick because a lot of people hate it, but it's literally my favorite book ever. It hurts me a bit when people don't like Moby Dick, or even like the Bible, but it's because I read it as a story more than a religious text. But those are like my main two. I don't know really. And the last question: what does seriously well read mean to you? And for me, it's not about as many books as you read, like in terms of numbers. For me, it's more about being able to talk about a wide range of books and just having read more of a wide range rather than just more like I don't know, maybe not niching down as much, but then become well read in a certain genre. I don't know really, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know what to say for that one. And yeah, that's just seriously well read tag. Go and look at Randy's new book club. It's on Patreon and all that. And yeah, let me know what you think about the books and my responses to these questions. And yeah, please feel free to do this tag. It is a really fun tag. And thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I will see you next time.